Well, holy smokers, this ain't no jokers. Welcome in. It's the iced coffee hour. And yeah, I made it over. I am the neighbor next door and I made it over. I walked over and I said, hey, let's do a podcast. They said, hey, let's do a podcast. And these guys, they have an awesome channel. And I'm here to talk about whatever these gentlemen want to talk about. Stocks, the market, finances, whatever you guys want to talk about. I guess we can talk about it. What's going on, guys?
We want to talk about everything stock market related.
Okay.
So we want to know what beginners could do to invest in the stock market if they have nothing, how they could get their first $10,000, how they could then make $100 a day in the stock market.
Whoa.
We want to know the top 5 stocks that you're buying this year and how your investing strategy has changed.
Okay.
So we got a lot to cover today.
That ain't no jokers. That's a holy smokers. Wow, we got a lot to get into, gentlemen. Oh my gosh, where do we even start?
Well, first of all, it's cool to be your neighbor now.
Yes, officially, it's the first podcast since we've been neighbors, man, and it's awesome. We have no neighbors. You're my only neighbor, so yeah. All the other houses are getting built right now, but yeah, that house was 14 plus months in the making.
Yeah.
So to finally move in there is like I don't want to call it a dream come true, but it is nice. So. And that's the first, I don't want to say it's the first house, probably the second house. This is the first house in Nevada that I've really wanted. Like everywhere else I've lived, it's kind of been like, let's try to go way under budget. Let's try to live as affordable as possible. To that house, I definitely didn't go over budget, but I balled out a little bit. Okay. Just a little bit with the upgrades and those sorts of things. So man, I love it. And this community's great. You got the gym close. Jack and I go get jacked all the time now. Might do sprints after this podcast is over. You never know. So this is awesome.
It is really fun to be able to text you and be like, hey, you want to do the gym in 15 minutes? I'll see you there. And it's like a 50-foot walk down to the gym community center. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Last night I texted you, hey, you want to go grab dinner? You were like, oh, let me see. Oh, yeah, let's go. And that's the type of stuff that if you live on the other side of town, with a friend, you can't do it. You got to have it planned out. But this, it's like you could do something last minute. So it's been awesome. Love it. And yes.
Yeah. So we got to talk about your stock market escapades. Now, where did this all start? Because I don't think a lot of people know your true backstory working as a gas station attendant.
Yeah, attendant. That's a term there. Attendant sounds like I'm the guy that like pumps it. I think there's still some states where you can't legally pump your own gas.
That's true. Oregon.
True?
Yeah.
What?
Oregon? Are you serious?
Jeez.
Yeah, Oregon.
That's crazy.
There's a fancy gas station in Beverly Hills where they have this the service for it. It's the gas like $1 extra a gallon. Like that's a luxury. But you go to Oregon and it's just like assumed someone's gonna
pump your gas.
Yeah.
For you.
Do you tip them or is it? I mean,
I'm assuming that you do tip them. Yeah. It's just to provide jobs. Like that's they provided. They made legislation to like
really
force. Yeah. So you have to have people pumping your gas for jobs.
Is that a service people want?
Done?
Yeah.
For me, no. I don't think so.
I was about to say, like, I would feel uncomfortable. I would feel like this is something I'm capable of doing myself, and I
honestly,
should be able to.
They're probably better at it than you are.
Yes.
So if they can do it better than you,
sure.
From a quick Google search, people in Oregon do not tip.
Oh, okay. So it's not customary to tip.
Wow. Okay. Well, if
it doesn't cost any money, right?
Well, if it's free, and you don't pay more for gas, where does the money come from?
Listen, I didn't research that far. I just saw that the locals do not tip.
Yeah, because Oregon doesn't have sales tax. That is their big thing.
Yeah.
That's their shtick. No sales tax. You buy something, what you pay is what you pay. I'm curious where the money's coming from.
No, Oregon, don't they also have no state income tax?
No.
Oh, it's not Oregon.
No.
Okay. I don't know why I was thinking Oregon was one of the seven states.
Imagine I would be in Oregon. I would be in Portland right now if there's no sales tax and no state income tax. Jeez, everyone would move to Portland.
Oh my goodness. But anyway.
Great city. Anyway, yeah.
Back to the whole story there. So in terms of me getting in the stock market, it actually happened before I got to the gas station and Quick Trip. That actually happened back when I worked at Walgreens making, I don't know, I think I started there at $8.75 an hour in the photo department at Walgreens. And essentially, Walgreens had a plan where essentially you could buy shares of Walgreens stock for, I think it was either a 10% or a 15% market discount. So, if the stock was trading at, let's say, $20 a share, you could buy it for, I don't know, $18, $19 a share or whatever. And so I was like, well, that seems like a no-brainer. The only catch was you had to hold it for at least 3 months. And so I was like, okay, let me start doing that. So I started doing that. That's how I set up a Fidelity account. And then I had an accounting teacher, actually at community college, who showed me the most powerful thing in my life as far as financially, which was a compounding calculator.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, and he would show us, if you had this amount of money and you got this percentage return, and if you've never seen that before, that is like the most mind-blowing thing, at least for me, seeing that, right? And so right away I was like, okay, investing. I kind of started doing the Walgreens thing, and then I was like, well, I can look into other stocks, and I was like, this is all available information on the internet, and then I just started going down the rabbit hole, started watching Warren Buffett things, learning all that. And next thing you know, I was starting to invest money, and it was like $250, $500 a time. Back then it was $19.95 to buy a stock.
To execute any trade?
Yes. To
So
buy
selling?
or sell.
You don't realize how good you have it now. Oh man.
Thank you, Robinhood.
I used to use it was Scott Trade. Back someone bought them. I forget who it was. But it used to be Scott Trade. I think back then it was, and this is like mid 2000s, but I think they were like $7.95, or it was like $7 to $10 per trade if you wanted to buy anything or sell anything.
Yeah, Fidelity was $19.95 when I first got started, and then very shortly after they switched to $9.95 because I think they were getting competitive pressure. One time I made a huge mistake, and I phoned in a trade. I didn't know how much it was. $39.95. And we're talking, I was buying like $400 worth of a stock. So now I need to get a 10% return roughly, just
more than 10.
Yeah, then just to cover the trade to buy. And then imagine if I was to sell another $19.95 if I did online, or $39.95. But anyways, that's a long story. So I stayed with it because at the end of the day, I looked at it and I was like, I think I can get a positive return. Then they lowered it to $9.95. I got even more into investing. So I'm like, oh, now it's only $10 to buy a stock. I'm like, this is great. And I would save up between $500 and $1,000 a time. And I go ahead and make that move. So the way I thought about it is I save $1,000 to invest, which would sometimes take me a month, if not several months back then to do that, right? The way I kind of thought about it was, all right, invest $1,000 is a $10 trade commission. So that's like 1%, right? And then, so basically in my mind, I'm like, I got to get at least 2% on this position to cover the trades. And then I just started building from there. At first it was the most boring stocks. I bought stocks like Conagra Foods, Walmart. I bought BP after the oil disaster. The stock just got hammered. I was looking at the balance sheet at that time, and I was like, I don't think they're going to go bankrupt. There's some people pricing it for bankruptcy. They made it through. I made a little money on that. And then I just started building from there. When I got the job at Quick Trip, that's when I really started rolling. So that was a game changer, because then I was making, they started me out at about 40K. Moved up really quick to a high bonusing store, one of the best bonusing stores in Arizona. Started making over 50K. And then my apartment was probably $725 or $750 a month rent. And I used to keep all my other expenses super low. I used to shut the air conditioning off if I was gone at work, and do anything, eat ramen noodles, and just I used to eat those pork and beans. You guys, you can get those. Back then, you can get them for like 88 cents at Walmart. And then you throw a piece of ham or two in it, throw it in the microwave. That would be a meal, less than $1. So I try to keep all my meals less than $2 for sure, but ideally less than $1. And man, I was just investing. I was an investing beast, and investing like at that time, when I started getting to a place where I could invest like $2,000 a month. It was crazy.
That's a decent amount of money, though, $2,000 a month. So what were you making to invest $2,000 a month back then?
That's when I got up to that's when what was I making as terms of my job?
Yeah.
So that's when I got bumped up to making about $4,000 to $5,000 a month from my job. And then you get the taxes taken out of that. Quick Trip, they used to help a lot with health insurance. So you got the health insurance, you had some other cost. I used to always keep my expenses super low as far as my cars went, things like that. So yeah, I was able to start investing like $2,000 a month back then, which it felt like a lot of money. There's no doubt about it. And that's how I really started the snowball rolling in 2010. And then I also simultaneously taken my investing game up to another level, and I found some really good stocks back then. So
What did you find? You know what I realized, Alex?
That you're wearing two different kinds of socks?
Yes, but you know what else?
Oh, what?
We could just sponsor ourselves in this video. How about that?
You know what? That sounds great. I always like my own posts anyway.
Me too. And for a limited time, if you want access to the YouTube Creator Academy, where I go over exactly what you need to do step by step to start a YouTube channel and turn it into a business, I will give you $200 off when you use the coupon code 200OFF. The link is down below in the description. This is everything that I have learned about how to grow a YouTube channel, what makes a successful title and thumbnail, everything you need to do along the way. It's all down below in the description. And it's $200 off.
$200 off.
$200
You know
off.
what? I'm going to take you up on that deal because I have this to family to run.
Wow, there we go. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the discount. And with that said, let's get back to the video.
So
Tattooed chef.
that's now.
Yeah. GoPro.
So yeah. Oh gosh, no. So there was a stock I found named Trinity Industries. And this is when I started piecing things together as far as trends that were multi-year trends that were going to play out in industries where I saw a tremendous opportunity. So Trinity Industries was this company, super boring company. They had a construction side of their business, selling like safety cones and like the stuff that's like on the side of the highway that if you like hit it, it kind of like crumples, you know, those sorts of things. But they also had this side of their business of selling rail cars. In this rail car business, there's hardly any companies that sell rail cars. It's such a random thing. You need to get all these industry standards. There's maybe 2 or 3 companies in the whole United States that probably sell big volumes of rail cars, right? Specifically, oil and gas rail cars. Well, I was looking, and at that time in North Dakota, fracking was starting to take off huge. And you were starting to hear stories about people were moving to North Dakota making like 120,000, 150,000, like basically just fracking oil. And so I was like, well, there's no pipelines to like transport this. So the only way you could transport it is through rail cars. So I looked at this and I was looking at the stock and it was trading very darn cheap. And I'm like, they're about to see a massive multi-year boom in their business, in my opinion. Sure enough, that's exactly what played out. And Trinity Industries went on a crazy run. And that was one of the first, if not the first stock that really gave me a lot of confidence that I'm like, I can do this. Like, I can do this. Before that, it was kind of like, this is something I could be decent at. That was the stock that took me and I was like, I can be really good at this. And it gave me the confidence. And then after that, it was a lot more stocks, including Cabela's and some others. But the Trinity Industries, that was huge for my confidence.
That was a really good time to invest, though.
Yeah.
To start in like 2008-9, that was like you missed the entire run up, started going down, and that's when you started investing. So everything after that was gravy for the most part.
Yeah, I just wish I had more money back then. The problem was, 2008, 2009, I'm investing $500 a time or $250, whatever. 2010, I finally started getting going, but that wasn't until like the end of 2010. So that huge initial ramp up, I had like hardly any money in the market. So I really wasn't able to capitalize. But from your standpoint, what if I had got in 2006? Maybe that would have killed my confidence right off the bat. Seeing the market dip, I don't know. You know, you can't ever go back in time like that. But yeah, it was certainly, it was an interesting time to get involved in the market because, a lot of people were scared. And I looked at it and I'm like, I'm just getting involved in this thing, man. Like, I didn't have much fear as far as that went. But I also didn't start out like super confident, like, oh, I'm going to be such a great stock picker. That happened over time. I needed to see the results. And that's mostly how I am in life.
So you built up the portfolio. Your number is $200,000 at 25 years old.
Yeah.
And then once you were 25 years old, is that when you quit Quick Trip?
No, I had 200K before I was 25. So I quit Quick Trip at 24. And, it was a tough decision. So I was really burnt out at Quick Trip. I'll be completely honest. It was a grind, man. Up at 4 a.m. almost every day, and just putting in the hours. You're working 48 hours a week, sometimes 50 hours a week on manager schedule. Waking up at 4 a.m. You get off pretty early. You get off at like 2, 3, but you're on your feet all day. There's no breaks at Quick Trip. There's no, let's go sit in the back for 30 minutes and chill out.
Aren't legally you're supposed to have a lunch and 2 breaks? Or is it just,
Well, yeah, I'm not going to throw my whole company under the bus, man. They gave too much to me for me to ever throw them under the bus, but I don't know. You'd have to look into that situation. But essentially, yeah, there were no breaks. There were no official breaks. There was no like, oh, you get, go clock out now and take your lunch or take your 15. At Walgreens, yeah, it was super professional like that in terms of like, you got your 15, then you got your 30, and people were super demanding of it too.
Yeah.
Quick Trip, you might work 10 hours straight. You're on your feet your whole time, and you might never get a chance. If you're going to even dream of eating, you better eat that hot dog fast. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I hated the 15, 30-minute breaks when I was doing that data entry job. They made you take the 15-minute break in the morning, 15-minute break in the afternoon, and I think it was a 30 to 45-minute lunch. I hated it because I didn't want to have lunch. I didn't want to take a break. I was just like, I'm just getting going.
Yeah.
And now I have to take and I'd literally sit there and just twiddle my thumbs for 15 minutes, being like, can I just finish what I was working on?
Yeah.
And I remember we had Roxanne. I did not like Roxanne. She was the the back office manager. And I would tell her these complaints like, what I wanted to do is just take my break a little bit later and then push my lunch later. Like I wanted my lunch to be as close to the end of the day as possible. No, you can't do that. You have to take your lunch between these hours. Like it made no sense to me. And then I brought up the argument, what if I just work straight and I just get off an hour and a half early? No, we can't do that. We have to comply with you. It's stupid. It's because I'd just rather work and just get it done and then leave. Leave an hour and a half early. Then I miss the traffic driving home. But never understood the need for a break. I don't know. Just take a break when you're hungry.
Yeah.
For as long as you need to, and then just come back and finish it.
That's what it was like for me working in a restaurant before I worked for you. There was no mandatory breaks. Even if you were working like an 8.5 hour shift or whatever, you just take a break whenever you get hungry or whenever you like get tired from walking everywhere. And you take like 15, get a sandwich, get back to work.
Yeah. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
They should really go over the entire structure of the 9 to 5. I really think they should stagger it. Get rid of the 9 to 5 completely. And just have different shifts. Like you want to be shift A, B, or C. And maybe shift A starts at like 5 a.m. For the people who just want to finish early. Shift B starts at like 8. Shift C starts at like 11.
You need to have people in the office at the same time.
Well,
9 to 5s are typically those jobs where like you're going to have a manager, you're going to have like people above you. It's going to be a little more corporate structure, and they need to oversee all of the work that you're doing.
That's true. Yeah, I'm just thinking from traffic.
Yeah.
Because if we spread out the times where people start and leave, there wouldn't be so much rush hour traffic.
That's a real LA comment right there.
I know. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Anyway,
Yeah. So anyways, Quick Trip, it was a grind. I remember even as early as 2011. So I hadn't even been working for the company that long. I remember just like having this fantasy. I'd be driving to 99th and Camelback Quick Trip I was working at. And I had this fantasy. There was this pretty decently nice, just like 2-story office. It was kind of almost across from the Quick Trip. And I remember driving by that. And I had this fantasy in my head. I was like, how nice would it be to just like wake up in my apartment when I want, go to that office and have a little office, like executive office in that building, and just like invest in stocks all day. And this was like a fantasy that I just like thought about every day. And I was like, man, that would just be the life, man. That would just be so good. Like I could only imagine how happy I would be doing that. And so nowadays when I kind of live life my own terms, you start taking it for granted. Like working from home, being able to like if I didn't want to record a YouTube video, I don't have to. Like just I go play with my kids at the park. And sometimes I remember back to those days a decade ago, and I'm like, dang, man, like it was just a dream. You know what I mean? To like live life when you want to not have to work when you have to work. Because at Quick Trip, it's like, you got these hours, you better work those hours, right? And so anyways, but 2014, I left the company, and I actually thought I could make it on stocks with only 200K, which is not conducive for my strategy. So my strategy is investing in stocks for years, right? Well, when you only have, let's say 200K and you still need money to live, like you still got to rent, I had a kid coming, right? The firstborn Enzo, then you start putting short-term pressure on yourself. And so for me, I started doing a lot of short-term trading. I got into margin super heavy because then I was like, well, I was getting like 30 to 40% consistently year after year. So then I was like, why not margin? I only have to pay 6 or 8% or whatever. And next thing you know, I'm making short-term trades, earnings trades. Some would go bad. I'd lose like 10,000. And when you lose 10,000 in a day, and you only got 200K to your name, it was just, it went bad really, really fast. It was a good decision because I got out of that. I started businesses and I used some of the stock market money to start my first business, my real estate marketing business, which I started for probably less than $10,000. But I pulled that out of the stock market, and it was nice to be able to at least make that decision to not be stuck in that job, because I do definitely feel like if you're in the financial position where you don't have money, you're forced to keep doing this job even if you don't like it. And it was nice to be able to make that decision and be like, I'm going to branch out on my own, do my own thing. I don't know what it is, which I had no clue what I was going to do when I left Quick Trip. I had no clue. I knew I was going to for sure keep doing stocks, but I didn't know, I was like, I'm going to probably do something entrepreneurial, but I don't know what it is. And then I moved out to Vegas and I didn't even know what I was going to do. So I took over a year off. I'm talking no work, just stocks. And that was it.
And one thing I want to mention that I don't mention too often in videos is that we do actually have a mentorship group down below in the description where you could meet with me every other week. And you can also talk to Jack every other week as well. We do Zoom calls. We talk for about an hour and a half. You could ask me whatever questions you want. It's a really small group, so we have a lot of one-on-one time. So if that's something you're interested in joining, the link is down below in the description.
Would that $200,000 go to after that year off? Because I'm sure you're
a lot. I lost $75,000 that year.
Wow. I was going to joke. It's like, it went down to 80, but wow.
Yeah. Because I started putting so much short-term pressure on myself. And so I started doing, I don't want to say day trading, but I was trying to get in and out of positions and time it out. And I had so much time on my hands, which I wasn't used to having time on my hands because working at Quick Trip, I'd work like 48 hours a week. So the only stock market time I'd really put in is researching companies and then actually executing a trade. But I was busy during the day, so I didn't have time just to sit around and look at stock prices. Then all of a sudden I have all this time doing nothing but looking at stock prices. I'm doing all the short-term crap. And yeah, man, it went bad so quickly.
How did you last a year? Wouldn't you realize after 3 months, hey, this isn't working out. I'm losing money.
At first it was going good.
That's always how it is.
Yeah, at first I was reaching new records. I remember I was in Maui, Hawaii. Counts hit all-time high. If I recall, or right around that time, my wife actually won a trip from Quick Trip, and it was all-inclusive, paid trip, paid everything to Maui, Hawaii. And I remember being out there, and my account was pretty much at an all-time high. And then that summer, the market turned. And also, like I said, I was just getting so much short-term crap, man. And I was going against everything that made me as successful. I was going against it. And it just, it went bad fast. So it was a great learning thing. I will tell you that. It definitely taught me about risk reward, going through that time period. And it allowed me to recharge my batteries. That was a big thing because Quick Trip really took a lot of energy out of me, man. And I think that's why I've been able to run for so many years now without taking any substantial break. I don't even know if I've taken a full week off in the last 5 years. The longest trip I probably took was maybe 4 or 5 days. And even those days, I still kind of work. And I still feel like I have as much energy as always. So, but anywho, I think we got way off the point there. But
it's probably because you drink Bankroll Coffee, now for sale at bankrollcoffee.com. I don't know if To The Moon Coffee sold out or not. I have to check. If To The Moon Coffee is available, it's going to sell out 100%. We only made a certain number of bags. It's going to sell out, but it's double the caffeine.
This is nice.
That's total coffee. To The Moon Coffee was to celebrate Moon Day, and we wanted to make sure we sell them all. So I don't have any To The Moon, but yeah.
Beautiful. I need to see some of those bags. That sounds amazing.
How did you make your money back?
Oh, man. It was a grind. I think it took me, want to say it took me about 2 years to get back to where I was. And that brought me to a great lesson I try to preach to everybody now. It's not just about, the reward potential, but when you take that step back, you have to climb just to get back. It took me about 2 years. And yeah, man, it was a grind. It was just investing and trying to build out the portfolio as solid as possible after that and getting back to at least long-term investments. Now, I still had one bad investment during that time, which was GoPro, which was 2016, 2017. But I had Wynn Resorts and some other stocks that did really, really well. But it was about getting back to the fundamentals and, staying away from earnings trades and all that stuff, because I got to a point in the stock market where I started being able to predict, and I can essentially predict a lot better than analysts can on certain stocks, like what a company's going to do revenue-wise and EPS-wise, and substantially better. But the problem is that doesn't mean that stock's going to go up. So back to the whole situation, I was like, well, I'm right a lot more than these analysts are right, so I think this company's going to beat. Let me invest in it, but then the stock would go down because of maybe guidance. Or maybe the CEO said one thing that rubbed investors the wrong way. Like, you never know. It was always something. And so staying away from all that stuff, man, and just getting back to the fundamentals. And I mean, if you followed me anytime in the past years, I'm always talking about stocks from a multi-year perspective. And if I'm ever thinking about a short-term perspective, it always ends badly for me. And so that's why when you hear me talk, I'm like, well, this company, I think they're going to do this over the next 3 to 5 years. They're going to expand their business revenues, blah, blah, blah. So, but yeah.
So you then started the real estate marketing business, and how much were you making? And how long did you do that, and how much were you making from that?
Did the real estate marketing business for about 2 years. And gosh, I never made a ton of money from that business. I made enough to pay bills and keep investing. By the time I started building that up, it was 2016 I started it, and that was, let's see, it took me about 6 months just to cover our bills. So I think our bills were about, I want to say about $2,500 a month at that time. We were living in a 3-bedroom apartment. I only had one kid. I think I might have owned the car. We had the Nissan Versa outright, but I can't 100% remember. So it took me about 6 months to get to a point where we're making more than $2,500 a month. And then kept building it from there. 2017, YouTube started to pick up. Plus, the real estate marketing business was now popping, because in that business, it's all about getting consistent clients. Mm-hmm. So getting your foot in the door, because then, real estate agents keep bringing you more and more properties. And then, I need drone photos for this. I need, a video for this house, blah, blah, blah. So I probably never made more than $40K from the real estate marketing company, but I only did it for 2 years. So, but by the end of 2017, I already knew like YouTube was going to be way too big for me not to focus full time on that. And so I actually gave up the real estate marketing company in January 2018.
And how much did you make from YouTube your first 2-3 years doing it?
The first year, probably less than $2,000.
That was 2016?
2016. Yep. And I made, I don't know, probably 200 videos that year. Yeah, 100, 200 videos to make probably less than $2,000. And,
you're beginning videos that were like 2 minutes long.
They were 30 seconds.
Yeah.
What is a checking account?
Yes. What is a savings account?
Yeah, and I thought about
what is a CD?
Yeah, and I thought about quitting YouTube twice along the way too. 2 different times I thought about quitting it. But anyways, and then 2017 I probably made, probably as much from YouTube as a real estate marketing company, if not more, in 2017. I think between the both of them, I might have made $70,000 or $80,000. So, I did really well, which was probably my second best income year I ever had. The best income year I ever had was, I think it was 2013, working at Quick Trip. I made like 50,000 or a little over 50,000 from Quick Trip, and then I made like 39,000 from stocks, which, yeah, that's another point that gets me into 2014. That gave me confidence. I'm like, I made almost as much from stocks, just stock sales. We're not even talking about ones I didn't cash out on, just stock sales as I made from Quick Trip. Ooh, maybe I can keep this going. But anyways, I don't want to get up those points again. But yeah, so going in 2018, man, I knew if I kept spending time on the real estate marketing business, it was going to end up like putting me in a position where, it's just like, where's your time best spent? And the real estate marketing business it wasn't scalable. I had to personally be there. I thought about hiring somebody, but it's not a big enough margin business, especially considering I was undercutting everybody else's prices in the market. So yeah, I even used to, I think I told Graham this story before. I used to drive out to LA to take photos for some agents out in LA, Beverly Hills, super high-end homes. And I would weigh the photography prices out there is ridiculous. And I would undercut them all. I would drive out there a day, do a property or two, and then drive back to Vegas same day. Yeah. But it would be profitable for me because even though I was undercutting everybody, I was still making a good sum of money. So.
What were you charging? Because I remember we used to pay, depends on the size of the house, but let's say for a $4,000 to $6,000 house, it was about, I think it was like $600 was how much we would pay. But that also included, I think, a property website, if I'm correct.
Okay.
So included a website. So you go to like 90210 BeverlyHillsHome.com or something like that.
Yeah. So, I used to undercut bad, man. So if it was under a 2,000 square foot house, $99.
Oh yeah, that's really. How do you even make
what about
money?
gas money, man?
Yeah. So
Because I'm thinking with gas,
Well,
the time to edit those pictures.
It cost me $150 to drive one way.
Oh
to California.
not for LA properties. For LA, I would make like $500 to $600 on a trip for that, because I would be doing some drone stuff, like drone pictures and stuff, and maybe even some drone videos. I think I was doing for some clients back then, Yeah, as far as the Las Vegas, I was $99 for under a 2,000 square foot house. I was $129 for photos. And this is just if it's from a DSLR, right? Not like drone photos too. That was like an add-on I had. But $129 for 2,000 square feet to 3,000 square feet, and anything over 3,000 square feet was $149. And I would give you 40, 50 photos.
Wow.
Yeah. So I definitely undercut the market, man. But I was the worst.
I took all the pictures with my iPhone.
No,
no, I'm kidding.
No, it's just I'll just be honest. I was the worst. I was the worst of the bunch. Like, some of these people are really good, man. And I undercut St. George, Utah too. I would drive out to St. George, Utah, which is about 2 hours away. And if you don't have the quality, the only thing you have to compete on is price. So I was the Walmart. I'm going to give you good quality for cheap price. If you want great quality or you want top caliber, we'll go spend that money. And a lot of real estate agents are very cheap.
So you were making $40,000 a year from your real estate marketing company, and at the same time you're making about $40,000 from YouTube channel the second year you were doing that.
Yeah.
Then the third year is when you stopped doing real estate marketing and you went full, like all in on YouTube.
Yeah.
And how much did you make your third year on YouTube?
Oh, third year on YouTube. Let's see. Probably $250,000. Yeah, probably.
Holy
like
cow.
YouTube scales. Yeah, my first year on YouTube, $26,000. Second year, I think it was like 253, 260, something like that.
Yeah.
Was that the second
year? Yeah, that was 2018.
Okay.
You made like 250, right?
And it was about 250, but yeah, 2017 because I started like late December of 16.
Mm-hmm.
Full year 2017, it's just $26,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I remember I used to document the process back then. So on the channel, because back then I was like talk all things finance.
Yeah.
It wasn't just stocks back then.
Didn't you post? Wasn't it every day that you were posting?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I treated it like it was a daily vlog essentially. Yeah. And I would always have something to talk about. And yeah, it wasn't just stocks back then. And I used to do income updates. I make $5,000 a month from YouTube or something like that. I would make those sorts of videos.
I missed those. Well, why don't you bring that back? Why don't you start doing that?
So I started getting a lot of hate as the numbers grew. And I think the last one I might have ever did was maybe like $10,000
from YouTube.
And yeah. And I don't know, it's just, the stock market is a different community. And I think a lot of my subscribers are different. Some would support it, but a lot would hate. And they would just not like that I wasn't talking about stocks. They didn't want to hear about how much money I made and those sorts of things. So it's just a different bunch. I don't know. I feel like your community is really, really supportive for that, and some other communities. But yeah, mine's such a stock market niche that a lot of them, it came across as maybe like bragging, and it was rubbing some folks the wrong way. And I was like, it's all right. So yeah.
So you continued doing YouTube full time, built out a few businesses, and then when did you achieve the status of being a millionaire? Wasn't it like 29, 28?
Yeah, before I was 30, I became a millionaire, and I actually don't remember the day. I feel like Graham and I talked about this one time because I'm having a little deja vu. But I hit the number. I think it was close between being 28 or 29. I don't remember specifically if it was like at the back half of 28 or the beginning of 29. But yeah, I hit the number, and
you celebrated, if I remember correctly.
I didn't feel any different, and I didn't celebrate $1 million.
Wait, you celebrated 100,000.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I used
10,000.
Yeah, I celebrated 10,000. I celebrated, I think 50,000 maybe even as far as stock market, and then I celebrated 100,000. And I actually don't remember celebrating $1 million, becoming $8 million.
We should celebrate your $1 million, man.
I know.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. Yeah, I know. Jeez.
We could celebrate at Super Sushi.
Yeah, it would be cool. That would be fun. Yeah. To Jeremy, millionaire from many, many years ago. Yeah, but and yeah, I felt no different. Absolutely no different. It wasn't. I didn't feel a sense of accomplishment. And so I guess when they tell you, when you get rich, it's like you're not going to feel any different. I didn't feel any different. There was nothing. There was like the sun didn't shine different that next day. Let's put it that way. When my first son was born, the sun shined different that next day. After hitting a millionaire, felt the exact same. Nothing changed. So
did it feel the same for you, Graham?
No, it didn't.
Wait, and how did you like the day that you achieved the status of millionaire? Was it just like equity in a home or something like that? Or
yeah, it was mostly property appreciation.
Yeah,
and I think like because I would track it on Mint, so it would just the Zestimate would change day to day. But I think I closed a commission or something that kind of like pushed it over the edge. So, but it was mostly because of appreciating property values. That was like the bulk of it. Was just buying a property. Yeah, I think it was buying a property, and there was some built-in equity there, and I was able to fix it up and rent it out, and then accumulation of that, the value went up.
And then
have you ever disclosed what the biggest commission check you ever got in real estate was?
Oh yeah. It was selling a house to Orlando Bloom, and I think what did he pay for that? $7 or $8 million for that.
So you made like 100,000?
More than that, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, most people can't even fathom that because 100,000 plus from one deal.
Yeah. And that was a cool one too, because like obviously like I didn't have a connection to Orlando Bloom, but it was from a referral from a client I met on Craigslist.
How?
And the guy reached out to me. He was I don't want to throw out names here, but he was a talent agent at I think he was working at is either William Morris or CAA. I think it was William Morris, and he was living with a roommate, and they split their rent together. They each threw in like $2,500, and they wanted to rent a house that was somewhat close by their office, and I represented them on that, and they were awesome to work with because they were like younger. They were on the younger side. So I think I was probably like 21 and they were probably late 20s at the time, maybe early 30s. It was just fun to work with. And they were just so nice, like really respectful. And I think we signed like a 2-year lease. And then after 2 years, they came back to me wanting to get an even nicer place. So I rented them they went from paying like $5,000 a month. Then they went up to like 85 or like 9,000 a month. A few years went by, and then he says, my client wants to get a place. He didn't tell me who it was, by the way. And originally, the client was looking for a lease. So he's like, my client wants to look for a lease anywhere from like $20,000 to like $50,000 a month. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I started showing him around, and he didn't tell me who it was. And he's like, oh, yeah, I think this house, something we'll bring him back to. Well, turned out it was Orlando Bloom. But then once meeting Orlando and then talking to him, really turned out that he wanted to buy something. And he just wanted to rent long enough to be able to find a place to buy. But the issue with working a lot of these leases, the clients don't really know. It's like, oh, you do sales too? They're like, oh, I just thought you were a leasing agent. I'm like, no, the whole point is, I want to get sales.
Yeah.
So it turned out that Orlando is a good buyer, and he found a place in Beverly Hills.
Wow.
He liked, yeah.
Incredible. What a story. Yeah, that's amazing. I always remember watching $1 Million Listings Los Angeles. I always loved that show. And yeah, seeing the commissions pop up on the screen, 47,000, 250,000. It's just like, when you see those numbers, it's like from one sale, and the fact that you did 6-figure deal, like that's crazy. 6 figures that came to you.
Oh yeah, and
It's
we
nuts.
bought the guy that referred us Breitling a watch.
Wow.
As a gift, yeah.
Whoa.
Because that was big. And by the way, he asked for nothing. A lot of these deals, they'll ask like, "Hey, if I bring you this client, could you give me 20?" It's common.
Yeah.
And this was just he was such a nice guy that he's like, I just want to make Orlando happy. That's it. I don't need anything back. But if you sell him a house, it'll make me look good. So that's all. So like, is it just a thank you? We got him a Breitling. I can't remember the exact.
I don't want to go too far off subject here, because I know this is kind of more about me. But did you ever have something like some sort of, kind of like me, my thing with the real estate marketing business, how I, was undercutting everybody price wise. Did you have some weird technique or something you did that you felt most agents weren't doing that helped you become a successful in that market?
Leases. That was it. It was just representing tenants when they found an apartment or a house. That was it, because no agents would want to do that. But my angle was that I would help you find a lease, and then hopefully you would buy a house. And so I really learned that like if someone is spending anywhere from $4,000 to usually $15,000 a month for a lease. Yep. Those people were the ones who ended up buying something within 1 to 3-4 years afterwards. The people spending under $4,000 a month never really, at least from my experience, never really had the funds to go and buy something. Mm-hmm. They would perpetually rent. But after a few years of doing this, I noticed, wait a second, this price point, they buy something. So then I really honed in to just doing a whole bunch of leases within that price point.
How do you attack that market though? Like, how do you I don't get it. Like
posting a lot of rentals up on Craigslist. So what I would do originally, what I would do is go to my office. I'd identify, and this is Coldwell Banker, so there's no shortage of agents out there at Coldwell Banker. Yeah. But I would identify. So this is
before you were with Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would identify other agents in the office who had rentals. I just offered to photograph their places for free. Did that in exchange for me being able to post it up on Craigslist.
Oh.
And they were ecstatic because they get free photography and they get more marketing. So it doesn't cost them a single dime. And a lot of these places I would just rent out. Wow. So yeah.
And you wouldn't make any direct money on the rental, or would you make little bit? Okay.
A little bit. Now, a lot of the commissions I'd make anywhere from a few $100s to a few thousand at the most. I mean, if I made $3-4 grand on that was a ton. So most of these agents would never do that because it's a lot of work. It's like, imagine selling a house, except you're renting and you get 1/20th of the commission.
Yeah.
So no agents would bother with it. But for me, when I was 18, 19, I would love it. Because it didn't matter to me. I just wanted to get the leases. Yeah. But that expanded. And then what I found cool was that I would always post 10 to 20 leases up on Craigslist at any given point. So if you're looking for anything, and really from Santa Monica to West Hollywood, you would see one of my leases if you're looking between $5,000 and $15,000 a month. And landlords started calling me. Hey, we see you have all the leases here. You're the leasing expert. Meanwhile, I'm some 22-year-old.
Yeah.
We see you're the leasing expert. I have my house over here. Would you consider putting it up for lease? And I'm like, absolutely. Yeah. And so I started growing that business from just representing landlords. Wow. Now, the funny thing is a lot of those landlords, I don't think I had a situation where I represented a landlord that eventually sold. Okay. So it didn't work the other way around. But it was great for meeting tenants. Tenants would buy something. Landlords would just perpetually be a landlord. They had no intention of selling. So I never was able to get the reverse of that. But tenants would consistently want to move up.
Did you learn the strategy from anybody, or did you just come up with this strategy by yourself?
Yeah, when I first started, I was working in an office with this guy, Frank. Frank's not watching this, but what's up, Frank? What's up, Frank? Frank was the one who gave me the idea for Craigslist. Okay. Because he was posting some leases on Craigslist. So that sparked the idea that's wait a second, we should post on Craigslist. And also the guy I was working with was coaching Frank. And together between the two of them, they've identified that like, hey, Craigslist is a good place to post up leases. But then I took it to like imagine just like posting videos on YouTube. Just like on the surface, it's good to post videos on YouTube. But then I took it from the standpoint of like, how could I up these clicks? So I did the same thing like I'm doing on YouTube. It's really fun. But like Craigslist would show the thumbnail picture. So I'd pick one picture to be my thumbnail picture. And then I would work on the titles. I realized that all caps titles do the best.
Yep.
And then I identified that long titles stand out because I would literally sit there and just scroll and be like, what catches my attention? And I'd stop and I'd be like, why did that catch my attention? And so when you look at not the gallery view, but like the list view, you'd see all the titles around the same and you see one like really long, that would be mine. Like the really long title. And then I on the, and no one was doing this for apartments, but when you went to the for sale section, you would see these people put like stars on either side, like these weird like brackets and stuff.
Yep.
So I would put those brackets on my listings on apartments. No one else was doing that. And I found this, this is when Craigslist did HTML. They had a tracker, a link tracker that I signed up for that tracks how many people are clicking through on every single link. So I made a custom link on every single one of my postings per property. And I had like 20 properties. I had 20 links. And I would figure out how different titles would affect the click-through rate. And then I identified that back then, this is like 10 years ago, the longest titles did the best, all caps with these big, like bold black brackets on either end. And I would always call it like, magnificent dream estate in Beverly Hills with pool, or like, I definitely try to like sell it up. And then in the description, and then once they click through, then I was like, how can I get their info? And then that was a totally different set of like figuring out how to get them to call, because I would notice sometimes that like, wait, I'm getting a lot of clicks on something. Why aren't people calling or emailing? Well, funny enough, I realized that if I put call Graham Stephan with Coldwell Banker, people wouldn't call me because they'd be like, oh, he's a salesman. If I just put call Graham Stephan, well, it's not, people just weren't into it. I found that people really liked call Graham, no last name, just call Graham, phone number, email address.
Oh, wow.
People wouldn't call. They would email. But just knowing that there's a phone number there for people to call if they need to makes them feel comfortable to email me.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I had the whole ad basically where it was just, and I figured it out, like the best, the most optimized ad was just headline at the very top, bedrooms, bathrooms, price, brief description, all the pictures underneath, and then below the pictures, I just went crazy with keywords like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every city in Los Angeles was listed there.
Yeah.
Pool, hardwood, open floor plan, like anything you could think of.
Yeah.
And that did really well. And I was probably getting 20 to 50 maybe emails a day.
A day?
It was crazy. So it got to a point where I would actually stop posting on Craigslist
to catch up.
Because I couldn't handle it all. So there was a point there where I'd only post on Craigslist when I needed business. It was that good.
Yes.
It was that good. It was incredible. So Jeremy, if you're starting over today, how would you build up a portfolio?
Oh, today. So the way I did it back in the day was value stocks first, because that's the easiest to really understand and figure out the valuations too. So, I mean, today I would probably be more inclined to do growth stocks. But the issue is, I didn't have anybody to teach me. I had no mentor. I had nobody to hold my hand and be like, this is the way you look at a growth stock or how to value. YouTube, back when I was lucky if I could find some Warren Buffett clips, but he's not going in detail in those clips. And Warren Buffett's really not a growth investor. He's a value investor. So I had really nobody to learn from. So it's hard. But nowadays I feel like there's so much good information out there. I would have an idea of how to value growth stocks probably in the first year. Maybe not to a super high level, but to a high enough level to where I'd feel comfortable. Because I didn't really start touching growth stocks till I'd been in the market for several years. So I think if I started today, I'd really focus around kind of what I do, a combination of dividend stocks, value stocks, and growth stocks, and building out a portfolio over the course of the first year or two that's really centered around those stocks. which in my first years, it was really just value. So let's say I had hypothetically $10,000. I would probably focus on buying 2 growth stocks, probably 2 value stocks, and then 1 dividend stock, something like that. And just trying to find the ones that are the best deals out there and things like that.
How do you look for those stocks?
Well, I mean, you can find them many ways. Are you in terms of how do you hear about a stock, or how do you get the thought process to look at a stock?
How do you both hear about a stock and then know it's good to buy?
Do you check out every stock that you hear about?
No, there wouldn't be enough time in the day for that, especially nowadays with YouTube comments, Stock Hub, like the private Discord chat. No, there's no way. I'm trying to look for, or I'm trying to hear about a stock that the business model, I hear something about the business model that's intriguing to me. That's the main thing I'm looking for. If I hear about a stock and the business model sounds somewhat intriguing, all of a sudden I'm like, let me at least start looking into that. So I might go to, I don't know, Yahoo Finance or whatever, and just look at the profile of the company. Oh, it gives a kind of a paragraph of what the company does. And I can start doing a little work from there, then kind of looking at some of the financials, income statement, balance sheet. I can look at some of the valuation numbers around it, forward P, trailing 12-month P, things like that. And I can start to get an understanding of like, do I really want to dive into this company, or is it, I don't know. And so if it seems intriguing enough, if I do that 10, 15 minutes of research and it seems really, really intriguing still, then I'll dive into the 10Ks. The 10Qs, which are reports that are available on companies' investor relations pages. Like if you want to look into Apple, you type in Apple investor relations, boom, you can get all the information you could ever imagine in terms of Apple, right? And I'll go down that rabbit hole, listen to conference calls, and then relook at valuations, think about future growth rates, and kind of make judgments from there. But I mean, nowadays, oh my gosh, I get stocks fed from so many different places. I mean, I hate to give it a shout out in the video, but 75% plus of my stock picks come from my private stock group. And that's no lie. I'm not just fabricating that. 75% plus of my stock picks come from in there, because these people have been trained under me essentially on what I look for in stocks. For some of these folks for years, have been following my content. And we have this like brain trust of people that just look into stocks all day. And then like, well, what do you guys think about this stock? I'm thinking about buying this. And they'll post like a bullish case. And I'm like, nah. Ooh, they got something here. Tattooed Chef, that came from the private stock group. Corsair Gaming came from the private stock group. Every single stock pretty much I can think of in the recent past year, actually the spark, the initial idea came from the private Discord chat. And then from there, essentially, I'll make my own judgments. I'll look into the company research and stuff. And a lot of the stocks, they're just like, no, not interested, not a good stock, or it's just not the stock for me. So it's kind of about sifting through that. It's almost like, you ever seen a guy on the beach? You must have, as a kid or whatever, a guy on the beach with a thing.
Oh, yeah, the metal detector.
Yeah, metal detector.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like sometimes, in the Discord chat, I'm like, trying to sift through all this stuff. And then like, there's that one there. And I'm like, I just found the Rolex watch on the beach here. There we go, baby. Somebody dropped their Rolex. So somebody dropped their 24 karat necklace. Here we go. And so, yeah, that's what it's about. It's about sifting through and finding that real diamond in a rough, or the needle in the haystack, or whatever you want to call it. So
that would be fun to go with a metal detector down to Santa Monica Beach.
Could you imagine?
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Imagine you're like in some area and like some guy's like, hey, that's my area. This is this. I do this every day in this area. He like kicks you out.
I bet that exists. I bet people have territories. Yeah. They just pull out a knife and be like, nope,
not
this
today.
This is my beach.
I'm always interested about people getting discouraged when they first start investing and then they lose money. Like how likely is someone to stop investing for the rest of their life if they try once and then the market has a sell-off and then they lose money and they pull out?
Yeah, that usually happens if somebody doesn't start with the right mentality from the go. And they'll buy a stock and then it goes down 10, 20%. And then they're like, stock market's a scam, sell, take my $2,000 loss and get out of this thing, right? I think if you have the right mentality from the jump and you've been trained as a long-term investor and to understand these things over time, will pay off if you've done the right research work and you know what you're looking for. I think if you've been trained the right way, you stay with it and you'll stick with it and you'll buy the dip, as they say, especially if it's a good company. Like that's usually the best thing you can do, right? Let's say the market goes down 30% the next month. Super unrealistic, but let's say it happens. It's the smartest thing you can do. More than likely buy the dip, because I can almost guarantee the market's going to be massively higher in 10 years than it is today, right? So a lot of it comes down to being trained with the right mentality from the jump, and understanding and, learning from folks. That's why I think it's so great on YouTube nowadays that we have this bunch to educate folks, on financial matters, and why it doesn't make sense to panic sell out of stocks in a stock market crash and stuff like that. Because so many people were taught the wrong things. Like they think, if you're in a recession, sell your stocks. No, if you're in a recession, that means the stock market likely already crashed. You need to buy every stock in sight, because I highly doubt we're going to stay in that recession forever, right? And so a lot of it comes down to having the right mentality, long-term mindset, and talking. We were talking about the real estate earlier, right? Graham had a long-term mindset, and so you had the right mindset to succeed there. If you were just thinking about landing the next Orlando Bloom deal, you wouldn't have gotten anywhere, right?
Yeah.
You would have been out of the business. And I'm sure some realtors try that, and then they don't make any business, and they're like, "This is a scam. I'm out of this. It's too hard." And same thing with stock market. You got to have that long-term mentality, and avoid distractions. That's the biggest thing I would say. So, because people fall into those traps.
What would your advice be if somebody wants to make like $100 a day in the market? What would you tell those people?
I would tell those people not to focus on the $100 a day. Focus on what you're doing over the course of that year. Focus on what you're doing over the next 3 years, 5 years. This whole let's make $100 a day, $200 a day, $400 a day, whatever. It is attractive. It is no doubt. When people hear that, they're very attracted by that, right? And so they're thinking like, oh, I can quit my job because I make $150 a day from my job. I can make $150 a day from the stock market, blah, blah. Usually extremely unrealistic. You're not usually going to do that. This year, I'll probably make, I don't know, maybe I'll make $500,000 to $1 million from stocks, from like stocks I sell, right? I don't know what that equates to on a daily basis, but what I do know is I didn't get there by focusing on how much I make per day. That's not the way this goes. You got to focus over the long term. You can't focus on the $500 a day. Don't get sucked into that. If you're going to end up going down the day trading route, that's what's going to end up happening, because all of a sudden you're thinking, well, I've got to make money today. I'd make $100 today. Well, let me swing trade. Let me day trade. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're not even investing now. You're just trading around stocks, and you're getting more into gambling activities. You're not making business decisions. Whenever I make an investment in stock, I say I'm making a business decision. I'm thinking about that company over years. Kind of like you would think about buying or getting a Chick-fil-A franchise or a McDonald's franchise, right? You wouldn't be thinking about, oh, tomorrow I'm going to make this much from this Chick-fil-A or this McDonald's. No, you're thinking about like, I'm going to make this over the coming years. The restaurant, if it does this sales volume, I may be able to sell it to somebody else for this. That's the way you're thinking, right? And so, yeah, it's a different mentality. It's a longer term outlook. It's longer term focus. And I wouldn't get caught up into the daily numbers. So it's fun. It makes an attractive thumbnail or title on YouTube, but man, it's just not the way to go.
What are some stocks that you like right now? Besides Tattooed Chef.
Besides the Chef, Corsair Gaming. I've been talking about that one a lot. CRSR.
Why aren't they going up?
So with that one, it's trading ridiculously cheap.
Yeah, I bought that to make $100 a day. Where is my $100 a day? I don't see it.
Oh man, you might make $100K over time. But yeah, no. When it comes to Corsair, there's an Eagle fund that's selling out, private equity company. So that is, I think they're Eagle fund. They're called. So essentially, that puts a big seller in the market. They made a lot of money on that investment. They want to put the money somewhere else. So it kind of puts an overhang seller in the market. You don't know when they're done selling. You don't know when they're selling. You just know that they're a seller in the market, right? On top of that, you got fear about world opening back up. Gamers and streamers, I don't know, aren't going to care about gaming and streaming. And to that, I say, have you ever met a gamer or streamer? Like, these people don't care if the world's open, and they're gaming and streaming, man. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter to them. Like, come on. And so that's going on. But the great opportunity when it comes to stocks is the fact that usually you get months to buy into a position, sometimes even a year or two, depending upon the stock. 2020 messed up everybody's mentality because stocks went up so fast coming off of the crash, right? And so people think like that's normal. Like, oh, stocks go. No, usually you get 3, 6, sometimes even 9 to 12 months to really truly build out a position in something like a Corsair Gaming or a Tattooed Chef or whatever stock it is before it starts going on a run, we call it, right? And that's usually normal. But we got in such a hot market last year that everybody thinks like, if the stock didn't make me money this month, it sucks. It's a bad stock. And it's like, that's just not the way the stock market works. And you're kind of getting into a short-term mentality. So, I look for opportunity there. And I mean, there's some other stocks that are defensive in values, that we've talked about before, like the Planet, and some of those, but those are really long-term investments. Like those I'm thinking about many years out. Like if I'm thinking about the Planet 13 as an investment, I'm thinking about when they have 10 superstores. Right now they have 2, but they're going to get to 10, in my opinion, within the next 5 years. So I'm thinking about, years out. And so yeah, those are some of the stocks coming to mind. Win stock comes to mind. WBA stock comes to mind. Win's is very solid, in my opinion, value stock. Travel coming back. WBA is very solid dividend stock. So right there, I think I gave some growth stocks, some values, and some dividends. So yeah.
So how many stocks do you own?
Probably about 20. If you added up all the different stocks in all my accounts, probably about 20. In the public account, I own 13. And I only know that because I counted them up today, literally. I own 13 accounts. That account has 1.6 mil, I think, in it. And but if you added up all the stocks in different accounts, about 20 stocks. So when it comes to diversification, I don't like to over diversify, but I don't like to under diversify either. I feel like I'm appropriately priced for what I have. The smaller amount of money, in my opinion, the less stocks somebody should have. The more money you have, the more stocks you should have. So, and I'm still in it to win it, so I'm not trying to just get in 500 stocks like S&P 500.
What are some of the other businesses that you have? Let's talk about the app, by the way. Now is the time where we could finally talk about the elusive app, the Hungry Bowl, that you could now download on the App Store that we've been working on.
Yes, the Hungry Bowl. Android, Google, or iOS, yeah. And so that's exciting. So, we had the idea around starting a newsletter, an email newsletter. And we were talking about that idea and basically starting a business-focused newsletter that didn't have any biases, didn't come across as anything politically related, and really stuck to business-related subjects. Because what I found is a lot of business newsletters go way off subject, and they start talking about politics. They start talking about more pop culture type things, and it's like let's talk about business. You know what I mean? Like if it's not in relation to like what's going on in the markets, stock market, real estate market, business in general, if I'm signed up to a business letter, I want business, right? And so that's where it started. And then we were like, well, what if we built out an app team, an in-house app team and did this the right way? And so I was like, well, I could fund that. And we ended up doing it and then just kept adding on features. Like now you can track your stocks. So you can add your whole portfolio in there. So if you got 5, 10, 20 stocks, whatever, you can track them all in there. And then it was like, what if we could listen to a conference call directly in the app? So if you want to listen to Tattooed Chef's conference call, you type in TTCF, or if it's on your thing already saved, you just type, you hit it, earnings call, boom, it plays for you right there. You can rewind it 15 seconds, fast forward. And instead of having to go to their investor relations page and go through all these different things and then try to find it. Sometimes that takes 5 minutes just to find a dang conference call and play it. And you have to enter in all your information. And so then we got to talking, well, what if you could set up an account and comment kind of like you can on YouTube, right? What if you want to make comments on the newsletter? So we added that feature in. And then we have a forum feature coming down the road and other features coming down the road. So it's exciting, man. It's very costly to start up a company from scratch like this in the software space, in app development team and things like that. There's no doubt. Very costly. It is a big risk. I'm hoping, people love it and it's a big success. But yeah, it's been fun, but it is sometimes stressful because I'm looking at it and I'm plowing a ton of money into that, and we might never make money from it. You never really know. You know what I mean? Like you never know how these things will work out when it's something you've never done before.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot from it, and I'm really proud of the initial product, and I know we're just going to continue to make it better and better over the future years. So
yeah. So how about this? Because I'm a part of it too. We'll put the link to it down below in the description. Download it and try it out. Let us know what you think. And we should probably set something up for like comments or suggestions. So try it out and then send us your suggestions. So you'll be like our kind of helpers on this.
We just launched a really exciting feature. So inside the newsletter part now, so if you click on a newsletter article, now there's a tab at the bottom, big green thing that says feedback. You click on that button, you could type in whatever you want. So so if you have any feedback, suggestions, positive things, whatever, and if you really love the app, if you don't mind leaving us a review on Google Play Store or iOS, that would mean so much to us because we've been working on that thing for months.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm excited. We're just gonna make that thing better and better over time, and who knows where it is in a few years from now.
So I really want to know how much money, Jeremy's bringing in. Just like in general. That's on my
How
mind.
much money
You know
am I
what?
bringing in?
Technically, you've never really revealed how much money you make
Yeah.
and net worth.
Yeah.
Never really revealed that.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
But
okay. Net worth between 10 and 20. I will not going to tell you the
Are
specific number.
now are we
wait, you're counting
Are we counting like the YouTube channel and like the value of the app? Are we adding in?
Oh, I'm adding 0 for the app because that's worth
obviously,
nothing right
okay.
now. I'm adding in almost nothing for YouTube channels. That would just be other stuff, including I have a lot in just stocks, like a really large number just in stocks. I have several properties now. I have 3 properties. All of them have at least $250,000 in equity for those properties, at least, including a couple that have between 300 and 400. I have multiple positions alone in the stock market that are 7 figures. So, and then, there's got to be something to like business and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say I make millions and my net worth is between 10 and 20.
How much you have invested in the stock market? Just in stocks? Can we?
I can't disclose that either, but it's a really large number. So let's see this. There's
bigger than you could.
There's 1.6 mil
in the
public account.
Yes.
The private account is substantially bigger than that because that is the account I've had literally since the beginning of time.
Are you the only one who gets to see the private account? Or?
Yes, not a soul, including my own wife.
No, she
come
doesn't
on.
know.
My wife does not know what I have in the private account.
Can I see it? Can I see
Nope,
it? And just get my reaction to it. Why? Why not?
No one will ever see it. No. It's one of the very few things that I have as like a private matter.
Does your wife want to know?
No, she doesn't care. She's really my wife's probably one of the least money interested individuals I know, and maybe that's why our relationship works pretty good. But yeah, she no.
What if your son comes up to you, Daddy,
Nope.
how much? Please.
Why is it so secret? Why?
It's fun. It's fun. It has you guys intrigued.
It
Look at you
drives us
guys.
crazy.
Yeah.
I want to know.
I want to know.
What I'm thinking.
Let me ask you guys.
Wait, just to clear the confusion, is there a private account for your members only? And is there a private account?
Yeah, so the public account is for the private stock group. So that's why I call it the public account. So the private stock group's gotten to see every single trade executed in the history of that account, Alex. The private account is literally completely private. Completely private.
What brokerage?
Sometimes I'll disclose a position.
Why?
I just like it,
What
man.
brokerage is it?
Well,
It's got to be Fidelity because all of your accounts are Fidelity.
It might be. No, Fidelity.
yeah.
Now somebody at Fidelity is going to go in there and hack in and be like, I gotta see this account. Let me ask you guys, how much in stocks do you think I have in the private account? What would be your guess? The three of you. What would be your guess?
My guess would probably be 6 to 8.
6 to 8. Okay.
5.
5. Alex.
Graham's cheating because he can't give a range. But I'm going.
Well, 7.
Then I'll say 7. I'll
Yeah.
stick with 7.
I'm going to actually go a little bit higher than Graham and say 7.8.
7.8. Wow.
Oh, how about you say who's the closest from all
The
of us? Who's the closest?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the closest?
I want to say.
Oh yeah, we could say who's the closest because that doesn't reveal it.
You'd be Graham. Graham would be the closest. Anyways, yeah, it's a pretty large number. But I'm broke now because I'm funding 2 startups simultaneously. One I can't talk about, and obviously the Hungry Bowl. So
can you say what your overhead is? Like your monthly overhead?
Gosh, my monthly overhead's disgusting. Disgusting.
You hire everything, Jeremy. You literally.
How many employees do you have?
Yeah.
Hired.
You have like 80 employees, don't you?
It's a large number of workers. Let's just call it that. So it's 6 figures every 2 weeks. Yeah, 6 figures every 2 weeks. It's quite a substantial number.
So can you answer the other part of Alex's question? How much are you making?
I actually don't know that number. It's millions of dollars a year. Last year, let's see. So last year, I paid in almost $1 million in taxes. So you could run numbers backwards on that, on what I'm actually making.
Like 5 mil, 4 mil?
Yeah,
no, it depends on what the expenses are. If we're talking net, we're talking net, then you'd be paying 40% in tax plus a few other like little tiny things.
I think between different businesses, stock sales, everything that you could possibly count up, probably 4 to 5 top line. So, yeah, but
pre-expenses or gross?
No, that's just revenue. That's just top line.
Revenue.
That's just revenue.
Got it,
yeah,
okay.
Something around there. So, but yeah, I at the end of the day, what I found is people matter. People's what's really going to grow you, and if you have really good people, they're going to figure out ways to help you grow bigger and bigger when it comes to businesses. And it's about hiring the right people and, folks that are going to do a great job, A players. But what I found is usually if you hire somebody and they're truly great, they're going to bring 3x, 4x more to the table than they take. So if you hire somebody to pay them, I don't know, let's say $100K a year, they're truly great. They're going to bring you 300 to 400 of true value to whatever you're trying to do. And so that's the way I look at it. And whenever we think about business expenses, business costs, the last thing I think about is people. I'll think about every service and are we using this software? Do we really need this? Every other expense before I think about people and cutting salaries. And I learned that at Quick Trip. Quick Trip paid probably double or triple what all other gas stations paid for this same workers. But people at Quick Trip, there's a different bunch. You're getting a different, caliber of people, and they are going to bring you way more business than they take because they have great customer service skills and those sorts of things, right? So that's the way I think about it. And I appreciate everybody that's supported along the way, because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be here. And I appreciate for the stock market, because it certainly wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the stock market, man. That's for dang sure. So, but yeah, it's a big number, man, in terms of the expenses.
You should review Jack's Robinhood account.
Ooh,
we should hear what this is as a iced coffee hour channel clips. I butchered that. Iced coffee hour clips channel exclusive. So it's only going to be available on the link down below in the description. We're trying to boost up the clips channel a little bit, so this is only going to be available there. Whoa, that's not really.
I just love that you're our neighbor now, because I'll leave the house and I'll see you walking up the street with your shirt off.
Like, oh wow,
howdy neighbor.
Hello neighbor.
Hello, how's it going today?
Yeah.
Jack, between this podcast and Fadia's podcast, it just sounds like you like to see guys with their shirt off.
Oh,
that's not. No, I'm just saying you had your shirt off that one time.
You remember vividly, don't you?
Yeah,
Jack?
I just thought it was. You remember the one time without the shirt on.
No, I just thought it was funny that he was walking on the street with his shirt off.
What's funny about it?
That he's
that it's $1 million neighborhood and some guy's walking with his shirt
up
off.
the street with his shirt off.
Yeah, that's some.
You had your did you had it off, right? Anyways, I like the fact that you're our neighbor.
Yeah,
and it's great going out and just seeing you.
It is. It's fun. Great when you take your shirt off.
So I look forward to every day.
All right, so Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on for
fourth time,
all the way over. Yeah,
thank you. It was a far walk through the desert sands of Las Vegas, and I appreciate it, guys. This was fun as always.
Thank you.
So
really appreciate it. And with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, get the Hungry Bowl app down below in the description, where you can also get your free stock. We'll link to your information down below as well. Thank you again for watching, and until next time.
Well, holy